Alright guys, I realize it's been a long time since I made a video, in YouTube time, and I apologize. I did do this insane thing called taking 2 days off, like not working for 2 days. It was really tough for me, but I managed to do it. And so, yeah, that's why I don't like taking days off, because it always backlogs me with all kinds of things. Not just knifery, but answering emails and whatnot. So I'm going to show you some completed pretiums. Number 3, put that in frame with a milled clip. They're so strange, like, because they're the same knife, but they all have very different feels. Number 2. This is a lefty. I can't flip knives left-handed. Look at that. The freaking markings on the right side. Now, fortunately, this is for a good friend of mine, and I know that's not going to bother him one bit. But on the other left-handed knives that I have, all the left-handed pretiums, yeah, we'll make sure the markings on the right side. Oh, goodness gracious. The laser engraver guy who did these, he's been fired, actually. Yeah. He did some shady business. Shady business. And I don't have to... Oh, look! Mark bought me a present. New tap handle. Excellent. Now I don't have to keep switching out taps. So let's turn off this light. Head out into the shop. What's over here? I didn't put those together yet. But I'm going to. The shop is still a friggin' mess. The wall project continues to grow in scope every day. But everything is actually hooked up and functional at this point, which is cool. It's just making some decisions on what we want to connect to what switches and things like that. It's been unique and special. And it actually has involved doing a lot of work on top of the freezer, where it's really, really hot during the day. And thankfully I haven't had to do it, which is awesome. Yay me. So just working on a couple of guys. What's this goofy bastard? Number 10. This one has not been sharpened, and there was something I wanted to do to it. Did I center it? Yeah, centered. Oh, I wanted to work that lock in a little better. Just a teensy bit more. So when you flip it hard, good, it engages where you want. But because these are also thumb stud bearing knives, they need to be able to fall if you open them with just light pressure with the thumb studs. So I'll change that guy. What have I done to you? That's right. Ooh, I like that lockup. That is solid. Nice. And you need to be centered. Number 5. What's that now? Oh. That one's for the Bob, as I like to call him. Which he hates, by the way. He hates that we call him the Bob. And so, the Bob can't just have a normal pretium. No. He's getting a Timascus clip. And I'm actually going to Cerakote this bastard black, because he likes black things. So I actually need to fit that up, make sure that's all 100%, because I hate having to fiddle with knives after they've had Cerakoting. Just weave our way through here. Goodness gracious. Get stuff in the... Oh, that's the other thing I want to show you. So I was making a fixed blade, custom fixed blade, out of M4, and I had some extra little bits. So you know what happens when I have little bits. Have some dashy fun time. So I'll clean that guy up, sharpen it, have part of Mark make a sheath for it, try and figure out how to put it up for sale on my website. I apologize about the website, guys. I haven't had a lot of time to spend on it. This one's kind of interesting. I don't know what happened. So I'm actually gonna try some finishy stuff on this one. See what I can get to happen. Da-dum. No, that's about all I have of interest to show you. Except I've moved pieces of equipment into here, which is kind of fun, I guess. Some stuff needs to leave, though. I mean, I need the surface grinder on this part of the shop because it's gonna spit metal everywhere, and I gotta make some shit for it. It needs some love, some serious TLC. Like specifically being converted to a belt, that would be awesome. But I haven't really quite put much thought into how exactly I'm going to do that. I have some basic ideas, but we'll see what happens. I think I need to move the blast cabinet. That's not awesome. Or something. There's going to be some. We need to increase the feng shui of this whole area, and I will eventually, amongst all the other bazillions of things I have to do. So because it's been such a long time since I made a video, I can't exactly remember what I talked about, what I haven't talked about. Oops. I do know that somebody asked me to go a little more in depth into the knife I'm carrying that I made for myself. And I still haven't done anything more to it. Eventually I will. The plain flat tie is not gonna last forever. Cause let's face it, when you're a knife maker, you gotta carry some coolness with you, and it's kind of cool, but it needs some more craziness to it. Maybe a little more of an example of some of my skills, if in fact I have skills. I'm not sure if I have skills. This guy, I was talking to Jess at Alpha Knife Supply, and she talked me into it. So this one actually runs on ceramic bearings. It's not a new idea. I've actually considered replacing the steel balls in the bearings I use with ceramic before, but they're a little more expensive. And quite frankly, I just don't want to be chasing around 16th inch balls all over the place. It's not fun, nor is it a particularly good use of my time. So, what is this damn knife? It's a tie frame lock. It's been orange peeled, anodized, a little bit of texture on the edges, just for shits and giggles. Got a milled pocket clip. This was actually just the shape of the titanium chunk that I had sitting around to mill out, so I was like, why not? Just throw it on there. Obviously it has a steel lock bar insert. I'm finding that 440C works well with SM100. It's not sticky, and it gets the wear resistant job done. Just got a hold back rolling detent. It's the first time I've ever carried a kind of a worn cleft sheep's foot type thing. Worn sheep. A worn foot. Sheep cliff. Yeah. So it's a fairly useful blade shape. I've enjoyed it. I actually used to wire in all the wiring that's in the new wall to strip wire and cut Romex and things. Yeah, that's right. I cut wire with my. What are we using in there? 14 gauge. 14 gauge solid core wire. Yeah, why not? And it holds up. I actually haven't sharpened it since then. So, just thought I'd make it a little more interesting. Got a fairly massive flipper on it. I'm strongly considering dropping it down by about half. Because it's a pretty smooth flipper. So I think I will. I think I'll trim it down a little bit. One of these days when I get around to it, which is not likely going to be soon. So there was that. What did I want to talk about? I will mention briefly, and by briefly I mean probably another 30 minutes of discussion. So what was it? I get a kick out of Cliff Stamp. I find him to be very interesting. We actually agree on a lot more things than sometimes I care to admit, or he would care to admit. And he's a very nice foil for me because he's one of the few people in the world that can call me on bullshit if I am in fact bullshitting anything. And he has data to back up a lot of the stuff that I have always said, which is awesome. Like today, he pulled up the man's Google foo is very strong, even though he doesn't like Google, he likes Bing. I found that out. It's very strong, and he found a doctoral thesis from the 1950s, like 1952 or something like that, from a guy at MIT talking about the thermal damaging effects of grinding metal. It was crazy. I was like, where do you find this shit, Cliff? He was like, I do site-specific targeted searches. It's like, wow. Need a hobby. Joking, Cliff. Love you, Cliff, in a very manly, non-homosexual way. But so what the study was talking about, and what Cliff has been saying for years, is that if you power grind on one of those bad boys, especially not slow and not light, that you can build up enormous amounts of heat. And the study was a little startling, in that they discovered that at the edge, at the apex, as you're grinding in, here, do something I would never do. So as you're grinding, the apex point and where your contact is, depending on how much pressure you're putting on there, you can be generating as much as 1900 degrees, and that is enough to really mess up the heat treatment of your steel. I mean, we're talking that's converting small areas to austenite, and then if you are then quenching that, then you are reforming imperfect martensite, along with enormous grain boundaries in between the martensite and a bunch of retained austenite in that new formation of martensite right at the edge, right at the really important part of the knife. And it's ugly stuff to do to steel. And this whole discussion was precipitated by Cliff being a little upset. Imagine that. He is Canadian, you'll have to excuse him. He gets emotional about his steel. Because there was a video put out by the fine people at Bark River of them just going buck wild on knives, just grinding the crap out of them at like full speed. and dudes like just grinding the shit out of stuff on a slack belt and then throwing it in water, and it's exploding, steam and stuff everywhere. It's like, oh my god. So it made me cringe watching it, and I was like, oh good lord, what are they doing? And then Cliff attempted to, being Cliff as he is, he was like, don't you guys think that's a bad idea? He probably didn't say it like that. I couldn't tell because the comments were removed, and now actually the video has been made private or taken down, so nobody can see it anymore. That's why I'm describing it to you. And it was just, it hurt me in my soul as a guy who loves metal. And I was like, damn, dude, I would never do something like that. That is just really not cool. And so, yeah, Cliff was a little upset about it, and I think he got rid of all of his Bark River products at that point in time. So the only reason I bring it up is because I don't know. I do understand the standpoint of a knife company and how they feel, since I do run a knife company, small as it may be, But I understand. I mean, and if I didn't know Cliff the way that I did, I would accuse him of being a giant asshole. But I mean, the guy does more research than I do, which I find impressive in its own right. And he can come off a little abrasive, I'm not gonna lie. But the point is still quite valid. You know, that there's just some things that you can and can't do when you're making a knife, and grinding heat-treated steel at full speed without coolant systems in place on the belts is just a recipe for disaster. And there've been issues with Bark River knives, you know, lacking temper. I think there's an epically famous video. Oh, I forget who put it out. Oh, he's hilarious. He had an Asian accent, very upset. He tried to cut bamboo chopsticks with his Bark River knife, and it just completely bent out and took chunks out of the blade, which shouldn't happen. And I remember seeing that video when it was first posted, because it just popped up on YouTube. And I actually made the apprentice watch it, and I was like, see, apprentice, this is why we're so careful with our knives, and this is why we do the crazy shit that we do. It's because I don't want videos like this about my knives. I'm like, because that's not cool at all. So, I know. And I think as a knife maker, you can also, you know, if there are crazy things that happen with your knife, like everybody makes a bad knife from time to time. I think it's important that, you know, you don't just try and like bottle it up and cover it up. That you can be open and admit, you know, hey, I'm a human being and I made a mistake on this knife. I'm sorry. Let me make you another one, or try and fix it somehow. And I've had that happen to me already as a knife maker before I was doing a lot of YouTube videos, where I had a knife that didn't have good heat treat on it, and it had a soft spot in it, and I'm not particularly sure why it had a soft spot in it, but it did have a soft spot in it. So I obviously said to the guy, he's like, hey dude, this is this weird spot and it always keeps getting nicks and stuff. And I'm like, you know what, you send that thing back and let's check it out, because it shouldn't do that. Guy sends the knife back, I check it out, I do some tests on it, and there was, sure as shit, there was a soft spot about that big in the blade, right in the middle of it, which is weird. But, you know, I rethermally processed the blade, you know, so I normalized it again, or I annealed it, normalized it, and then reheat treated it, and the blade ended up being fine. Bingo, bango, bongo. Everybody was happy. And I'm not tooting my own horn like I'm the greatest customer service person in the world, but I think that's kind of an important thing to do when you're a knife maker, if you're running a knife company. That's why the companies that we like Spyderco and even Benchmade and some of those type companies, they have customer service departments specifically to, you know, to deal with stuff. But here in our little Fair and Forge knife company, the customer service department is this guy, which should be frightening and yet comforting at the same time, because you got a problem, you just let me know. It's that easy, and then we fix the problem. So like, I know not every single pretim is going to be perfect. It's just the odds. And I know someone's going to get it and they're not going to like something about it. Something is going to seem wrong to them. And hopefully that is a very low percentage, like maybe 1 out of 100. That's acceptable, I think. But I mean, they're only knives. And so there's so much I can do to try and make them awesome. And I guarantee that there's going to be one that's not awesome. I will try very hard to make that not a reality, but it's just sometimes things slip through. So I guess I'm saying, if you do ever have a problem with one of my knives, just send it back. And I can show you this right now. I'll show you one of my clients who's been a client with mine for a long time, basically ever since I started making folding knives. So it's been over a year. I think he has one of my older knives, lights. And so they're all sitting here. We'll take a look at them. So all three of these are pretty old. This one's the newest one, and it's actually the one with the most problems. Oh, goody. But we tried new things, new things that were new to me. So when you reach out and try new things, sometimes they don't go great. So like this is the oldest one of these knives, and actually I kind of like this one the best. The first sort of sheep's foot that I ever did, a non-flipper, very strange for me. And what's not great about this knife? Well, obviously it's S90V and it has rust spots on it. I do like the grind on this though. Yeah, it's still nice and sharp. I mean, there are things looking at this now that I actually will go back and change. Like, I don't like this weirdness here. I'm not sure what that I was thinking back when I made this knife. But that's something that I will rectify now that it's back. And I will enhance the action on this knife, because it's actually not very smooth. It's a little off-center, and I'll fix that up. So there's things that I'll fix on here. Obviously, I'll get rid of the rust, which means I'm going to have to refinish the blade. Oh, goody. Oh, let's not talk about that one. So here's a specimen, the very first fire tank. And it's kind of a crazy knife. Got all kinds of weird stuff on it. But you'll notice this has no lock bar insert, no rolling detent, and the detent on it is absurdly weak. I mean, it's nice and smooth, but just falls right out. So that's a mechanical problem that I have learned many a trick to rectify, and so it will be rectified on this knife. It is good to see that it still has very nice lockup. It's always nice. So that I was reasonably confident back when I made this knife. And I do kind of like this blade. It's kind of crazy. I hate serrations though. Couldn't talk him out of it. There were design choices made in this knife that I probably wouldn't make again. Things that will change. Probably going to shorten the flipper down a little bit and remove a little bit of this. It has to be there because there's this notched cap. It was actually there so that we could decrease the size of the flipper significantly. And we will. So there are things that I'll rectify. Look at that. An exterior spring cutout. Wow. Don't do that anymore. Did I do it on this one? No, that's an interior one. Just throw that. I gotta refinish it anyway. But this one. So I was trying something different. Trying to do a subframe lock. And this is before I was doing steel inserts. It is for the old version of the rolling detent that I was using. And there's just a lot of things that could be improved on this knife. One would be the lockup, since it does not actually engage. Look at that, yay! Easily rectifiable, especially in this knife, because I have many options. I could make a new lock bar, because it's a subframe lock, or I could do a steel insert. It's definitely going to get a new detent, the new version. It's seen some action, I can tell. So we'll fix up those little surface anomalies. Once the pocket clip moved, that's going to be a little more challenging. Yeah. I don't know if we're going to be able to do that. I'll try. If worst comes to worst, I don't even have this carbon fiber anymore. Yeah, that's going to be challenging. What else did you want? You wanted the blade reground? I don't know. I might try and talk him out of it. He took a nice little chunk out of that. Look at that. I can always tell like what knives see a lot of use because they show it. And that looks like that cut metal. Ooh, baby. I'm sorry. That's tough to see on camera. Oh, there you go. The reason I would say that looks like that cut some kind of metal is because it's not just the rolling over and little chipping out of that edge, but it's also some of the marring that's on the secondary bevel there, which is characteristic of a metal on metal contact. I look at odd knives, and I do bad things to my own knives, so I'm always checking out what happens. Because I'm not averse to taking a knife that is mine, that I've made for myself, and trying to cut weird shit with it. I think if I ever have to deal with aluminum gets burrs and stuff when you machine it, and I will actually deburr the aluminum with whatever knife I have in my pocket. I'm just a glutton like that for resharpening knives. I don't know. I think you guys are gonna like these. They're pretty sweet. I like them. Otherwise, I wouldn't make them. They do feel good. I think they actually feel better in the hand than the prototype did. They're pretty cool. But God, 100 of them. Goodness gracious. Oh yeah, this choil actually works. It's a fully functioning choil. So it's not really a sharpened edge until right about there. This is still kind of rolled, so it's not gonna cut your finger open. They have been kind of a pain in the butt so far, but yeah, they're nice. I'm not gonna lie, I like them. Has it given me a lot of ideas on what I want to do on the next thing that I make, which is kind of a theoretical idea for the next thing. Yeah, it's given me a ton of ideas actually, and I can already tell a bunch of stuff that I'm going to do differently. Oh, look at this! It's sitting on my desk, and I never talked about it. So, if you watched Gabco's videos, you know he's making frame locks, and we were talking because I was checking out his CAD, making sure he didn't make any glaring mistakes before he had those cut out water jet, and he's like, "Elliot, can we turn it into a flipper?" And I'm like, "Of course we can turn it into a flipper." So he sent me a CAD design of what he was going to think about doing as a flipper, and I kind of modified it a little bit for him so that it would work. And I was like, he's like, "Can you make it?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course I can make it, dude." He's like, "Okay, I'm gonna send you a bunch of stuff." I was like, "You don't, no, you don't. I'm a knife Michael. I'm a knife maker. I have Elmax and titanium all over the place." He's like, "No, I'm gonna send it to you." So he sent me Elmax and titanium. He's so silly, and I think he's sending me a piece of that Timascus because he wanted to put Timascus on it. He's such a crazy little guy sometimes. And yeah, we talk on the phone way too much. Seriously, like him and Jeff are like my boyfriends now. It's ridiculous because they always call me when they have a problem, which is great, sort of, I guess. They're always like, "Hey, Elliot, I don't know how to do this," and I'm like, "What? When did I become the official I know how to fix thing guy? Seriously, I just figured all this shit out myself." Okay, and so Next up on the docket, once those guys are all done, and they will be tonight, I'm gonna finish them all up when we get done with this video here. Next up is going to be this next 10, and I'm actually excited to experiment with some of the things that I've learned from doing the previous 10, especially in ways to kind of speed up this entire process, which is going to be good for everyone. So the apprentice actually prepped all these up for me, did all the countersinking, and did all the radius work and smoothing of edges, because I hate sharp edges on knives. They drive me nuts. So he went through and did these all up. They're nice. He did a good job. I of course stood over him and beat him with a whip while he was doing it. But so I'm gonna actually try and process all 10 at the exact same time, and see how fast I can get them done. Because I know you guys want your knives, and I want you to have your knives. And I'm not gonna show you the list, but I will glance lightly here at the list. Yeah. Oh, some of these are going some very special places. Some of these are going to Hong Kong. Oh, look at that. I see a Cliff stamp on there. That freaking guy. Oh, and I love that Cliff posted a whole thing on his website about the printing. Great. It's a little intimidating making a knife for Cliff, because it's like he is gonna talk shit if it's not awesome. It's gonna be super. I might have to fly to Newfoundland and kick his ass. You heard me, Cliff. I will fly to Newfoundland, and I will use the word Scandi until you stroke out. It's an inside joke. Cliff hates the word Scandi. I think it's hilarious. What else do I have going on here? Gosh darn it, I have some custom stuff I need to do. In particular, I gotta make my St. Jude's Children's Hospital auction knife, SM100 knife. I gotta do that, because I'm supposed to have it done by August, and it's gonna have a lot of intricate stuff involved in it. Oh, Ryan, I'm gonna do it. Do that up for you. Whose is this? Oh, this is Pete's. Oh man. So this is another SM100 knife, and I was attempting to make a pivot, and I couldn't machine it, and so I have a relationship with an aerospace engineering company, and I was like, hey guys, you want to try something pretty challenging? So like, turn this into an 1/8 inch rod and then drill and tap it for 256. And they were like, okay, we'll try it. And then I get a call a couple days later, we couldn't even cut it. I was like, oh shit. So they couldn't do it. So Pete, sorry, it's gonna have to be a regular average run of the mill pivot. And that's the prototype blade for the next model that I'm gonna make. That's going to be limited run, super limited. I'm not doing 100 again. It's ridiculous, redonkulous. But I think I've caught you up on the events here at Ferrum Forge Knife Works, and rambled on a bit about all kinds of topics. And I hope that satisfies your need for some Elliot video. And somebody asked me what. Oh, look at that! Just like an ADD monkey. Somebody asked me what kind of music I listen to, and all kinds of stuff. Little rock and roll, little dubstep. Not really a big fan of rap. Nor country. Not a super big country fan. I will stomach country if I must. Sometimes I even venture into such crazy things as like classical music. I've heard that the violin is within the same range as a woman's voice. And that might be one reason why I like violin music. I don't know what it is. I do. It's strange. It's very strange. But yeah, I think I've rambled on quite enough. 35 minutes. Oh, you are welcome. Wow. Drink it in. It always goes down smooth. All right, YouTube. I will attempt not to deprive you of videos for this long again. Okay, bye.